born as a baby, he's not going to grow old, and he's never going to die. Next word is Satanam. The reason I'm going through this one here, so this is the basis of the whole scriptures. Guru Granth Sahib Ji defines, gives us the definition of the Lord himself, Satanam. His existence is for real. How do we believe that he's there? Do you believe everything that you don't see? No? Yes or no? Okay. Who wants to get $100? Okay, here. You see it? Okay. So give it back to me 100 when the class is over. But I'm not going to take something that I can't see. Is that fair enough? Well, we can't see him. Where does he live? Everywhere. So always, sometimes we're pointing it out and we're saying, the Lord is up there. Does that mean he's not in here? Yes or no? He's inside us too. But we're asked to believe something we can't see. Can you give me 2 examples of things that we still don't see, we still believe that they exist? What's the first example? Ear. Can you see it? We can't see it. We still know it's there. We're reading it all the times. What's the other one? Say it out loud. Gravity. Have you ever dug up the earth and found the gravity? You did? Bring me some in a cup. We know it's there. The scientists have written laws based on that. But we can't see it. So why should it stop you from us believing in God? Just because we can't see him. Always think about it. There's got to be somebody out there with those exceptional powers, exceptional abilities, who designed and fashioned this world. How many of you are worried about the moon actually crashing into the earth here next month? Are you worried? But it's not going to happen. Gurbani says all those planetary bodies, the galaxies, the whole entire universe works under the laws of nature. And that even those words are used by science, laws of nature. Whether it's Newton's laws, whether it's Kepler's laws, doesn't matter which laws, they call laws of nature. And whose nature? The Lord himself. We just figured out some of his guidelines and we use them to make better things. Things that are beneficial to us. And those are laws of nature. But he's just like a rosary. He's strung the whole entire universe like little beads in a string. And once he decides to finish it, it's done. That's what Sikhism scriptures will tell you. This creation has been created and destroyed. We don't know how many times, even scientists believe that now. NASA just got the detection of light. It comes out from about 7.5 billion light years away. And they figure it's about the middle of the universe. So it's about 15 billion light years away. That's just a preliminary guess, and there's a give or take about 700 to 800 million light years. We will never find the limits of this universe. But just thinking about the fact that there's got to be somebody who designed, that is who we call the Lord, who operates it in such an efficiency, you don't see planets crashing into each other. We don't even lose a second. The seasons are there. So there's got to be an operator. How do we define God? G stands for? Generator. O stands for? Operator. And D for? Destroyer. He generates this creation, he operates it, and then he destroys it. Why does he do that? How many of you actually played with Legos? How many times you actually build things? Did you build ships, little buildings and stuff like that? And then you decided to do what? Did you keep them? Are they still there? What did you do with them? You destroyed them. You take them all apart. Were you crying when you did that? Were you happy when you were making them? Were you happy when you were taking it apart? Gravani sees this whole entire creation is like a play for God. We're the little toys, we're the little Lego blocks. He created these different color ones, like you got the Legos, the red and yellow and green. He created us different colors, different shapes and sizes. He likes to see his entire creation like a playground. As long as he wishes, he enjoys it, and then he wants to change it. It's recreated. That's all we need to know. We don't have a control. There's nothing we can do to stop it. We can preserve it, but we can't stop it. Kartapur, Satanam. Where does he live? Why? How do you know? Because he's Karta. Karta means the creator. Purk means one who's imbued in his entire creation. Doesn't, just like we have a table or a desk or benches or cars, the person that actually made and manufactured those ones, created those ones, is no longer with that creation, but the Lord stays within that creation. It's never separated from it. Was he ever born? Before that, I'm going to come to Ik Onkar Satnam Kartapur Nirbal. He's fearless. Why is he fearless? There's nobody like him. We defined that. We said he's unique. There's only one of a kind. And there's nobody like him. And certainly nobody's bigger and stronger than him. So who does he have to fear? He's fearless. Nirbad. He doesn't hate anybody. And how do we know that? He gives us a chance every day. We talked about this one. How many actually you got up in the morning and you said, "Thank you, Lord, for keeping me alive, kept my heart beating"? How many times the heart beats in a year? We did that calculation right in front of you. Just wild guess. More than 37 million times. We don't have to make it a beat. How many of you actually go home and change your batteries? We don't. I'm glad we don't have to sit on chargers. Right? He keeps it going. 37 million times, more than 37 million times a year. And how many of us actually doing every single action is a good one? How many of you actually swore this morning? No? Well, that's pretty good. How many actually got angry in the last 24 hours? Don't be embarrassed. See? But just because there's a bad stuff that you did God say, "Okay, I'm going to finish you off"? He's not an enemy of yours. He doesn't hate anybody. He gives everybody a fair chance. That's why we call him their man. Would he ever die? Why? Because Guruji told us he's Akal Murta. His personality is beyond the effects of time, which means he was never born, he never was a child, he's never going to grow up to be a teenager. That would have been terrible sometimes. Probably filled the whole wall here with rock music. Yeah? Akal Murta is beyond the effects of time. He created himself. When was he born? A Juni. He's beyond birth and death. He's never born, so he will never die. Guruji says, Jo upade, so binasana. Whatever is created by him must end one day. That is the reality. Anything that's born must die. And this is the law of nature. So where does he come from then? Can anybody tell me God's mommy and daddy's address? We call it the word Sabham. He created himself. Now this is something, it's just like time and space. It's very difficult to understand that concept. It takes at least about a couple of days just to analyze this one here, but there's evidence and there is guidance given in Gurbani where you can understand how he created himself. How this entire creation was created. And it does not conflict with science. Like I said, science is just a tiny extension of the religion itself. And how do we meet him? Gur Prasad. When we come to the Guru, we seek the guidance, he gives us the knowledge. In simplest form, once you become a perfect citizen, you become a perfect human being, a good person, you will have the realization that there is God inside you, and every time you look into somebody's eyes, you won't say or do anything bad, because you will realize that what? He's also inside that other person too. And God lives in our heart, then it must be his home. We don't want to destroy God's home. We don't want to break anybody's heart. Jap is the first bani, and that's the heading, that's the name. What's our relationship to God? This is a unique quality in Sikhism. Tu mera pita, tu hai mera mata. You're my father, you're my mother, you're my brother, you're my sister, you're my relative. You're everything to me. Then why should I be afraid? How many of you actually feel comfortable when you go home? You're not afraid anymore. If it's dark, you're outside alone, where do you want to run to? A shopping center? West Edmonton Mall? Or you want to go home? Why? Honey? You feel safe because your mom and dad are there. You feel safe. When we will realize that the Lord is our mother and our father, wouldn't we feel safe when we become one with him? And Lord is even considered as a son. It's unique. And this is the universal brotherhood in Sikhism. That's the basis of Sikhism's principles. Ek Pitam, Ek Sakhi Hum Bhai. It doesn't matter if you call yourself a Hindu, or a Muslim, or a Buddhist, even an atheist. or a Christian, or Jewish. We all come from the same Lord, we just decided to give them different names. We talked about this one actually last year. Your father, your mother, what is so unique about the mother? Why is mom so special? Boy, somebody's going to really get it. Why is mommy so special? I don't know. She not only gives you birth, she also nurtures you. She takes care of you. That's been a traditional role of the mom. That doesn't mean she's restricted to those roles only. And that's unique quality in Sikhism. A woman has the right to do everything a man can. There are no restrictions on anything. It's gender equality. That's one of the pillars. She takes care of us, protects us, does things to make our life happy. And no wonder we call God's creation as Mother Nature. Mother Nature. How many actually call that Father Nature? It's Mother Nature. So this earth is like the mother. Pavanaguru, Pani Pita, Mata, Taratamaha. This earth is like the mother. It gives me shelter, gives me the protection, gives me the food. And the Lord created that for me. And there is actually, we're going to extend the class for another maybe 20 minutes or so. And if anybody's got any questions, feel free to raise your hand and ask. How many times we call India as our motherland before we came over? Mother has a physical existence. And how can we see God? We see Him every day, but we don't realize it. Remember we said He lives in every one of us. So when you look at another person, you don't realize it, but that is another one of His creations. One time, the mom and the baby were just single. They were all together. And then there comes a time the baby's born. Just like that, we are part of the Lord. But when we become a separate identity, a human being, we tend to forget, just like quite a few of us forget about our moms. And it's impossible for a baby to describe We'll discuss stories and sakis at a little bit later stage because right now we want to really kind of shorten the class. We're going to discuss those because I'm going to take on every single one of these ones in the next few weeks. When a baby's born, can the baby actually tell about the mom? When you were brought from the hospital, could you tell her name? Did you recognize her? No. mom is standing among 20 other ladies, can you recognize her? That's what we need to do. Same way we need to grow up spiritually, which means we must seek guidance, we must learn from the Guru, and then eventually, when we grow up spiritually, we start to recognize that Mother Lord, that God was the Kalabhakam Samasakati. Just going to display these because I know there are some younger kids here. Sometimes they get a little restless or so. Did Guruji start just another religion? Like I said, it was a way of life. Marya Sikha Jigat Pravich, Nanak Nirmal Pansala. Guru Nanak propagated a brand new ideology, taking all the good stuff from every other religion, did not bash any of the other religion. So you can continue to worship, but don't fight over it, don't kill people in the name of religion. Do something good for everybody else, because we're all brothers and sisters. And then, remember we talked about attachment converting into unconditional love? This is the proof. And there's hundreds of other examples in there. Guruji calls you ignorant if you don't have a love in your heart. This is the part I wanted to save and then really kind of go over this one here. This is, I'm not the one who's saying it. This is other leaders in the world, recognized personalities, their opinions about Sikhism. Sikhism says, no matter who you are, what faith you belong to, what do you believe in, as long as you're a good human being, the Lord accepts you. So you could be born in a Sikh family, but if you're not a good person, He does not accept you. There is no discrimination from God. We're not Hindus. Most of the time we're mistaken for that, for the Muslims, because we wear the star, the turban. And there has been a lot of discrimination against Sikhs in the United States. There's been some Sikhs been killed after the post 9/11 because they were mistaken for Muslims. And Muslims are not bad people either. It's just that fundamentals take over an ideology and they want to reinforce their own mindset on the rest of us. We have the same situation in Sikhism too. It's all based on your actions, your deeds, what you choose to do. You can call them different names. Guru Granth Sahib Ji does not only contain the scriptures just from the Sikh gurus. There are people that were considered untouchables, low caste in India. There's scriptures from 36 individuals that's in Guru Granth Sahib Ji, and they belong to all sections of the society. Now this is the part I want to quickly go over before we conclude, and then I'm going to, for the rest of the class, we'll talk about the 5 Ks when we have the open questions. And this is one of the scholars, the most learned scholar in Hinduism. This person spent his entire life analyzing every one of the Hinduism scriptures and wrote 18 books in their native traditional language, Sanskrit and Hindi. And he ran across the Guru Granth Sahib's, a tiny part of it, and when he read it, He just couldn't stop. He had to kept on reading it. Once he started analyzing it, I don't have a picture, but I have a picture on a hard copy. He actually gave up Hinduism. And he wrote a book. It's only about 20 pages long. And he did his prayer that, Lord, all my life I didn't do anything good, but in the last few days you give me a chance to become a perfect human being. And those are the titles of the books. Scream Scripture, City Uransenj. And the ultimate religion is Kalsavan. In Hinduism, it's traditional to shave your head and not wear that many clothes. If you see his very last picture before he passed away, he was like a fully decorated Sikh. And this is another quotation from a person that you actually recognize. Who's that person? Adi? Dalai Lama. And this is one of the most significant that I kind of run across. You can read it. George Bush. And this person, Pearl Lesbach, is a Nobel laureate. And she concluded, based on studying various other scriptures and religions, and this was her conclusion. And she thought these ones were written maybe thousands of years ago, when she realized that the origin went back to only 1469. So at this stage, I had another one on this one here because the British used to rule India for a long time. And then Sikhs actually comprise more than 15% of the India's army, the fourth largest standing army in the world. And we only make up less than 2% of India's population. The spirit of the warrior is instilled from the day you're born as a Sikh. Not a brutal person, but a warrior. And Sikhs have fought and been killed probably in the largest numbers in every single war that India has fought. And as a matter of fact, in the Second World War, there's over 100,000 Sikhs that were killed. Not fighting in India, not fighting in Pakistan. They were fighting in Germany, in Italy, in France. They're fighting for the Allies. And they actually written letters home that this is my sacred duty as per the teaching. So I'm willing to die, so don't remember me and don't cry over me. Even in the British Army, Saragarida, even today they celebrate those 21 Sikhs that actually stood up against over 10,000 Taliban-style Afghans that attacked a British post. And they fought till the last man died. And it's commemorated every single year in the British forces. And as a matter of fact, even now Sikhs are serving both in Afghanistan, in the Canadian forces, and the US Marines. They were serving in Iraq. And the latest one is in Democratic Republic of Congo. Guess who's heading the UN mission? It's a sick gentleman. So they're all over. Anyway, we're going to conclude at this stage here.